Good evening, folks. Welcome to the 58th episode of the Ken Matias Sports Podcast. I have Yianni Kourakis. He is PBF's new sports anchor down in West Palm Beach, Florida. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
No, absolutely. This was short notice, but it was great to have you come on. And no, I just like I said, just talk about your career from obviously Rhode Island to, transition to Florida, Sunnyside, Florida, and go from there and what made you get into the industry and stuff. So I'd love to hear the story.
Yeah, it's been it's almost been 2 decades now. I graduated college '07. I went to
Wow.
University of Maryland and started in a small market, Salisbury, Maryland. I was there for a couple of years. As many do in the industry, you sort of move up from smaller to medium to bigger markets. So I was in Richmond, Virginia, 3 years. Then Providence. I started at WPRI 12 in 2013 as sports director. My first week on the job was they starting the wild card round for the Red Sox
Hmm.
against the Rays. So I was there from 13 to 21. Then I moved down to Florida. My wife's job brought us down here. So I've been here at WPBF. It's been just over 4 years now. So yeah, I bopped around a little bit. I'm from Rhode Island originally. So Providence, that was my home market. And now I've been here 4 years. So it's been good, man. It's been a lot of great experiences. Obviously, I was lucky to cover a lot of championship series and the Boston teams. 4 Super Bowls with the Brady Belichick era, World Series, Stanley Cups, and down here, I've had some good teams too. I have 3 straight Stanley Cups with the Florida Panthers. The Heat made it to NBA Finals one year. FAU basketball went to the Final Four. So I've been pretty lucky to cover some cool events.
That's awesome. Like transitioning from Boston to Florida, it's like two different markets, but you went from like greatness to like greatness, I guess,
Yeah.
because Florida's just had Boston's number in hockey the past two,
It's
three
been wild
seasons.
because the Heat and Celtics played each other
Hmm.
twice, 2 straight years in the Eastern Conference Final. The Bruins and the Panthers played each other 2 straight years, and
Yep.
obviously the Dolphins and Patriots play twice a year. So
Yep.
I've actually seen a lot of friends from the Boston market, throughout the year based on those matchups. And I've been lucky. Actually, my first break when I was in Richmond. It was 2011. VCU out of nowhere went to the Final Four, so I traveled with them through the month of March that year. So that was my first big break. It's always great. It's more fun when your teams that you're covering are doing well. So that's pretty cool.
No, that's awesome. I mean, to be at it for 4 years down in Florida, I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, having good weather all the time. I know you guys deal with a
Yeah.
lot of like hurricanes and crap like that, but and it rains a lot because I've been to Florida too. But I mean, what was the biggest transition going from like home to like basically a place that you've maybe been on vacation with your family and
Yeah.
just didn't live there? Like, how was that big transition going from Rhode Island to obviously being in West Palm Beach?
I think they're here. Sorry, my daughter's getting picked up to go to dance class.
Yeah, yeah, no worries.
The biggest adjustment is just really learning the teams and building a trust from your viewers because you're the new guy in town.
Hmm.
And so you don't maybe know the history of the teams you're covering as much as I would have in Rhode Island. Growing up a Patriots, Red Sox, Bruins, Celtics fan, I knew their whole history.
Yeah.
So I could talk comfortably, excuse me, about everything that's transpired in the past that led up to this. So that was the biggest adjustment. And then obviously, whenever you work at a new news station, you have new managers, new coworkers, new protocols. So it was a bit of adjustment, but not too bad. At the end of the day, you're sort of doing the same job. You're telling stories, you're anchoring, you're reporting, you're interviewing, all the things that you've done your whole career. You're doing again. It just happens to be in a different market with different teams and different players. There is a difference in the viewer. Like everyone in New England like lives and breathes their teams,
Yep.
and that can be the case down here too. But it's especially where I am, it's more transient. There's a lot of people who are snowbirds or are here half the
Yeah. Yep.
year
Hmm.
or have moved from the Northeast. The amount of people like myself who've moved from the Northeast since COVID is huge. So, a lot of my friends from Florida or who live here, they didn't grow up here necessarily. They're from New York or Connecticut or Massachusetts too. So if I'm watching football on a Sunday, they may have we may have four people here who like four different teams, but um, the Dolphins, the Heat have really strong fan bases. The Panthers over the last since I've been here, it's been incredible because, you're like Florida hockey. Does this really work? And then three straight Stanley Cups, and they've blown up. I mean, their following has been huge, and so yeah, it at this point, obviously 4 years in, it's not an adjustment. It feels like every day is
hmm
pretty routine at this point.
I mean, did you get a little homesick going from Rhode Island to Florida right away, or you're just like, all right, I'm ready for a new challenge. I'm ready to just leave home behind for now?
I would say like the first year, maybe 6 months, I sort of like missed. You're in it for so long.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
miss like covering those teams. Like, oh, what's Belichick saying today? And I still consume Boston sports media. I'm listening to Felger and Mads or whatever else
I
on a
am too.
podcast. I'm consuming it down here, and then you remove from it. And it's interesting, like from a social media perspective, everyone who follows you at that point, everyone who followed me, came to me for New England sports stuff. And so now I'm all of a sudden tweeting about the Dolphins and the Heat, and everyone's like, "What's this guy's deal?" And it's like, I moved. This is my job now. These are the teams I cover. So, I don't really hold myself to any sort of strict doctrine. Like I'll tweet about whatever I want to tweet about. But if I'm at a Dolphins game, I'm tweeting about the Dolphins.
Yeah,
So that was like
obviously.
an interesting dynamic of all of a sudden just being thrust into a new market. You're covering new teams and then trying to gain traction and a following in a new market of like, hey, I cover these teams. Follow me if you want to know more about, whoever. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like with the protocols, like as it regards to like the news station, is this just like an easy transition? Like whatever you guys did up here is just the same down in Florida. Obviously, the teams are
um,
different, people are different, but
yes and no. I had way more shows in Providence. So
hmm
I hosted New England Nation, which was a Patriots show
yep.
put on in Providence. I went out to all the Next Star show affiliates in New England. So that was during football season. That was a big heavy lift. That was a 30-minute show we had to produce every Sunday.
hmm
Uh, at the time, we had a show called The Sports Rat Nightly on Fox Providence. That was 15 minutes. So there was more content I had to churn out over the course of a week. Um, so I don't have, in this case, a dolphin show here. So I don't have the burden, more or less. And I enjoy doing it. I shouldn't call it a burden of like producing a 30-minute
hmm
Patriot show or a dolphin show every week. So a little bit different. What else? I mean, it's just like training camp down here. It's so hot in the
Yeah,
summer,
compared to up here, yeah, yeah.
but I mean, it's hot everywhere. Once you live in Florida, you sort of get to the hot, you get used to the hot summers, and then the payoff, 7, 8 months of the year is just perfect. And then call it May through September is pretty hot, but you get used to it. So, after 4 years, I'm pretty used to it at this point.
That's why every single year, probably since you were a kid, the Patriots struggle with Miami. It's like the Heat. It's the house of terrors. And I'm like, I'm sick of it
Seriously.
every single year. No offense to the Dolphins, but I'm sick of it. I'm like, they need to just
Even yep,
win a close game. They need to do something down there and just like split with them. If they win up
all
here,
during the Brady years. You're absolutely right. And then I remember, I guess was it 21 or 22? Belichick decided to like stay here. They stayed in West Palm Beach and practiced at this small school called Palm Beach Atlantic, leading up to the week one to acclimate to the weather, and they still lost. Yeah, Tua Tagovailoa is undefeated against the Patriots in his
that's
career.
insane. That's
6-0.
crazy.
I think they'll. I get at the very least, I think they'll split this year. Week two,
Yeah, week two, they fly down to you guys.
yeah, week two. I'm trying to think who's in. I think both teams are going to be in that 8-9 win time. So
hmm
I think they'll probably split this year.
Hopefully, I mean, I want Tua to stop being no offense undefeated against New England. That's just being
I
a
know.
homer, but
It's a
I mean,
wild
I
stat.
know you got to be like a neutral person like covering these teams, but how is it interacting with these guys? I know you've done it with the Boston media and, the players and stuff like that, but any kind of difference between the Florida teams and Boston as far as like athletes? Obviously, there's no Tom Brady down there, but
Ru-
he may fly down there and see a game because obviously he's part owner of the Raiders and he does obviously Fox now. So,
I wouldn't say any difference with the players. Obviously, covering the Dolphins, I did
hmm
1 year of Brian Flores, but this is my fourth year of Mike McDaniel. far different than Bill Belichick, right? Bill
Yeah.
Belichick, excuse me, his press conferences were, much different than every other coaches in the NFL just because of his mannerisms and the way he
Hmm.
conducted himself. So you get those short, curt answers from Belichick, and now Mike McDaniel, he'll go 2.5 minutes on an answer where he's taking left and right hand turns to get back to his point. You don't know where he's going. So,
Hmm.
um, but the players have been good. I mean, the Miami Heat do a really good job of making their players accessible. The Florida Panthers, um, having covered them the last 4 years, all their players are really good. I mean, hockey guys in general are good guys, but like
Hmm.
Barkov, Kachuk, obviously Martian now, they're all just good dudes. Verhage, Ekblad, like they're just
Bobrovsky.
good dudes. So like covering them, like they're not going to big time you. After they win the Stanley Cup the last 2 years, the last thing they want to do is talk to the media. They want to celebrate with their teammates and hug and
Yeah.
kiss their family members, but they're
Yeah.
all standing on the ice there as we ask them for the 15th time, how does it feel to win the Stanley Cup? Oh, it feels great. So
Got to go to
those
each
guys,
player and ask that. That's kind of tough when you got to repeat yourself 20 times.
well, like also, they've been asked that 20 times, but
Yeah.
you want like your viewer doesn't know that necessarily. So you
Yeah.
need to get in like the obvious questions that they've been asked, and maybe you can throw in some unique ones in there. But that's the coolest. I mean, I've been lucky to cover some championship teams. There's nothing cooler than covering a championship and asking players questions after they won because they're just on cloud nine, they're on euphoria. And I did it with the Red Sox and the Patriots, now with the Panthers. So that's been cool.
No, that's pretty awesome. I mean, just to interact with these guys, and obviously you're there to do a job. You're not there to get autographs and stuff like that. You got to be
Yeah.
professional. I mean, some people take it differently, but as far as like, relating back to Channel 12, my dad and I a few years ago we had the chance to meet Maury, or he interviewed my dad. My dad got on the news. I think you probably were still there, 2018, whatever. He went
Yeah, I
out.
was still there. What was he
Yeah.
on for?
If I remember correctly, my dad and I were at a place that I think Portugal, because we're Portuguese, so Portugal was
Oh,
playing.
okay. For the
Yeah,
World
yeah.
Cup?
It might have been 2018. Was the World Cup there? It was either Euro Cup or World Cup. One of the tournaments.
So the World Cup's in 2026. It's every, what, 4 years? So
Yeah,
22.
so yeah,
That
so
would
you
make
guys might have
sense.
been doing like an assignment there. That makes sense. And then there was like a little, I'm not making fun of him, but there was like a little short guy with him too, with a mic, a
Yes, he
gentleman
was
there
our
too.
intern. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So he was helping him out.
MJ.
Yeah, so I'm like remembering this. Like I'm with my dad. Maury wanted an interview with my dad because he found out that he was from overseas, and he
Oh,
and he
that's
got
cool.
yeah, he got on the news, and I was, that was the first time I met Maury, and then I've kept in contact here and there with him, and he's really leveled up. I mean, he took over after you left, right? He was the director, and now he's the director at Seven. So talk about
Yeah,
your
we stay in
relationship.
touch. I was just texting him the last couple of days. So
Yeah, talk about your relationship with him because he seems like a super nice guy, even though I've only met him once, and then I've talked to him on social media, or he's
yeah,
actually been on my podcast.
he is a great guy. I went to his wedding. God, I don't know if it must have been 2 years ago because he and his
Hmm.
wife just had a baby.
Yep.
So we hired him at I think Wausau, Wisconsin. So Mark Dondero had left. Ruthie Polinsky moved from the
Hmm.
number three and I'm still talking to all these people, to the number two. And then Maury came in as the number three, did a great job. And when Ruthie left, he came to weekends. And then when I left, he moved up.
Yeah.
And then he got the job in Boston. So he's done some great stuff in New England. I don't get to watch him much because I'm not up in Boston, but we share stuff. I'll see him in a couple of weeks when the Dolphins are
Oh, he'll be
hosting the
down there. Yeah,
Patriots.
yeah, yeah. He'll fly down.
So super nice guy, loves sport. I mean, we at PRI we had a great crew from Dondero to Ruthie to
Hmm.
Maury. I work. JP Smallins is a guy who I work
He's
with.
been there forever. I've emailed him, and he's pretty nice.
JP's been there. God, it's got to be over 20 years now.
Wow, that's crazy.
And JP's he knows everyone and everything in the state of Rhode Island. I joke he does a hometown hero segment weekly. So if you're like a good high school athlete out of Rhode Island, he is the first guy to identify you. and do a story on you. And then if
Wow.
you ever make it big, like chances are you were our hometown hero way back when. You know what I mean? Whether
And you
it's
just got drafted
probably
by
Joe
whatever.
Mazzulla
Yeah.
or I don't know about Rocco Baldelli. He may be too old, but any of these good Rhode Island athletes that came out
Hmm.
of there or Southeastern Mass. So we had a real, and the good thing about our crew, we all love sports and we lived and breathed it and worked hard, nights and weekends, and we just grinded, because it was the teams were doing so well that
There was always something going on. There was always an
yeah, for
event
a
going on.
Patriots playoff run or a World Series, that's a month or
Hmm.
so where you're pretty much, if you're not working 7 days a week, maybe it's six and it's long hours and but you love to do it, so you don't really care. So yeah, we had a great crew up there, and I still keep in touch with all those guys.
Yeah, you mentioned Ruthie Dondero. I've actually had him on my podcast. Now he's doing stuff part time. He works at school, I believe, and now he does stuff part time on 98.5. I hear him
He's on
sometimes.
98.5. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love when I hear him on there because I listen to Felger and Matt. So when he pops up and doesn't let me know, I love when I hear his voice.
Yeah.
Mark is a super creative guy. It's funny when he was working with me, he like his I don't know if his style is like quintessential local news. Like he wants to be more creative and push the envelope and do things that
Hmm.
some managers don't necessarily like for local news, but uh, super funny guy, super creative, and he's great at radio. I mean, these are the just like hearing him yelling on the radio or like the discussions he
Yeah.
and I would have in our sports office. And he and I had a podcast before everyone had a podcast. This was
Really?
probably 2017. And it
Yep.
wasn't sponsored and it wasn't sold. And our station didn't ask us to do it. We just wanted to do it to have
Hmm.
more of a free flowing conversation. It was called Double OT. It was pretty good. And we had to squeeze it in our studio. We had to find time like between everything that was being taped or done live in the studio. We're like, can we do a double OT at 3:30? And they're like, all right, you have 15 minutes, and we jump in onto the set and do it. So yeah, he's I still keep in touch with him. I was on still keep in touch with Andy Gresh. I was on with him. He was filling in doing some Mad Dog Radio on XM recently, and I just came on to talk
Hmm.
Dolphins. But yeah, man. I mean, you'll in this business over the course of the years, you end up meeting a lot of people. Ends up being a smaller business, and you would think you end up crossing paths with people, and if there's a market or a place, you probably know someone who knows someone. So it's not that far off from sort of being connected with most people in the business.
And you mentioned Ruthie. She was there for a while too. I know you say you still talk to her, but she ended up going elsewhere as well, right? She
She
ended up
moved to
moving.
Miami. She actually went to Miami. She left Providence to go to Miami. She was the sports anchor at the NBC in Miami for 3 years. Now she's in Chicago, at a network in Chicago, covering the Bears and the White Sox and the Bulls. So yeah, she's doing great. Ruthie's super talented. Um, I went to her wedding a couple years ago in St. Louis, and yeah, we stay close. So she's great at what she does. Everyone, I mean, we've had a lot of talent come out of PRI
I was gonna say,
over the
like,
years.
New England just produces talent, and
Yeah,
then for me watching the news or whatever, and I'm like, damn, like Yianni left. Maury's in Boston now. Like, that's great. You shifted over from Providence to Boston. But it kind of blows my mind. Like, I understand like family stuff comes up, like you said, your wife got a new, whatever job, brought you
yeah,
down to Florida, that's great and stuff, and you're able to get another job. But I just wonder why some people want to leave Boston. Like, if it's a family thing, I totally understand.
yeah,
But
yeah. No,
like
I mean, listen, Boston is a top 10 market.
that's what I'm saying.
Arguably,
Yeah.
it's arguably the most passionate fan base in the country. I'd
Hmm.
throw probably Philly in there. New York, yeah, but I wouldn't want to work in New York locally because there's too much going on. Like you have the in Boston, it's like you have one team for every sport. In New York, it's like, all right, the Jets, Giants, what do we got going? We have the
Yeah.
Rangers and the Knicks and the Nets. And
Mets,
um,
Yankees, like it's
so
all over
Boston,
the place.
for I would say Boston for local sports is probably the best market. But yeah, everyone like if you're from there, obviously you have more incentive to stay there, especially if you have
Hmm.
family there. But some people leave and go to national networks. Some people
Hmm.
get out of the business. Some people, everyone's got their own story. But I mean, guys like at WBZ, Steve Burton and Dan Roach, they've
They've
been
been
there
there
30
forever, yeah.
years. Um, I mean, they're probably the longest tenure. Butch Stearns at Fox has been there
He's
forever.
a one man show, huh?
I
I've talked
think
to him
so.
on Twitter. Yeah, it seems like he's a one man solo show.
I mean, there's been turnover at HDH with Maury's station.
Mm-hmm.
Like they've had a fair amount of turnover. CVB, Duke Castiglione. They're actually the company that owns my station owns
Oh,
CVB.
Hurst, yeah. I
Yep.
actually interned there 3 years ago. I got to
At
work with ha
CVB.
yeah, I loved it. I worked with Bob
Oh, nice.
Halloran in sports. I got
Yeah.
to work with Duke, Josh Brogadier. I didn't. I think Nauko came after me because she came in.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
when
oh,
we do, like when I went up to a Bruins Panthers game, they would provide us a photographer. They were
hmm
down here a lot for the Heat and Panthers, so we'd give them a photographer. So we work with them. Yeah, they do a good job too. So and then who am I forgetting? BZ, CBB, Fox. Yeah. So they've had, I mean, forever. There was like no turnover
hmm
in Boston. It was like hard to get in there, but the business has changed a lot, and people um, have gotten out, but it's still a great TV market for sure.
And it's still so difficult. I mean, obviously nobody starts there, but you can intern there,
Yeah,
but you got to start at New
yeah,
Hampshire, potentially Providence, or just
yeah.
anywhere else. So I've
You
run
got to
into
start. I
that.
mean, usually, historically, when I was coming up in the business, you start in some small market
hmm
somewhere. Now it's easier to start at a bigger market because the way the corporations who own these stations work, they're not. It's a low paying job when you enter it. So, like my first job, I made 24 grand a year
Jeez, yeah.
as the weekend sports anchor. And so, I mean, that was 2007, but still, so like now, like a bigger, like you can come out of college and be in a bigger market than maybe 20 years ago
hmm
because um, the middle market it maybe isn't paying as much as a college graduate would like. So they can bypass the market that's paying them 30 grand and go somewhere that's paying them 40 grand. So
Yeah.
like it's a little bit easier to move up now, but it's still getting in. It's not a job. Local TV, at least, is not a job that pays particularly well your first couple years, but you sort of know that going in and treat it like, all right, I'm not going to be saving any money for the next 2 years. It's like going to grad school or something. If I keep my head up above water, these 2 years are so valuable because I'm getting all this experience and I'm getting a demo reel and I'm getting something that I can send to my next employer that
hmm
shows me doing the job. Because I always tell people getting the first job's the toughest because you need to convince someone to hire you when
Yeah.
you haven't really done the job before. Like most entry level jobs in other industries, there's like a more of like a pathway.
Yeah, like they train you and stuff. Yeah. No,
Yeah. So it's like,
I
hey, have you
know.
been on
Yeah.
TV? No. And it's like, but I'm going to be good at it. I swear. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
show me. And then, your demo rate, depending on where you went to college, did you do a newscast in college where you have more professional? I mean, internships are huge. When we have interns, we try to shoot some stuff for them so that they can
Yep.
have a demo reel that shows them in a professional environment where it looks good, it sounds good. Maybe you're in studio, you're in the field. So,
Yeah, that's what I did at five. They did like little fake things like I'd be on air, but I'm really not. Like
yeah, right,
what you were
right.
just talking about, and I did that and I got a couple of those videos, but
Nice. Yeah, it's good to keep those. And, obviously when you're sending them out to some station, they know that you don't work there, but at least
yeah.
they're envisioning what it would look like if you were on their set.
Yeah.
Here, the lights are nice and and you have the teleprompter and you're going through the mechanics of doing it if you were really doing it for a job.
hmm
So
I mean, what advice would you give anybody watching this, younger, older, that still has a passion for either news or definitely
yeah.
sports like I do? Like, what good advice could you give somebody that might have some experience but has had a problem basically finding
Yeah.
the right thing?
Well, like what you're doing right now, and I tell people it's harder and it's easier to get into the business now than when I started. It's easier from the perspective anyone can start a podcast, you can start a show on
hmm
YouTube, and maybe not a lot of people are listening or watching, but you're going through the mechanics of doing it and getting reps and getting better.
hmm
And you're interviewing people. So, when you have to interview someone for a real job, you're used to doing it. If you want to be a writer, start writing, start blogging. Like back in the day, like if you didn't write for your college newspaper or you weren't on your college TV station, there wasn't really a way to get yourself. Now
Yeah.
everyone has a phone. I mean, you can just start experimenting on Instagram, see what sticks. Like, hey, I'm going to do pick 10 college football games or NFL games. I'm going to do some betting content. I'm going to do like, something what's trending. And you sort of just get into the routine of being on camera or putting out content, because then you're getting used to being on camera. You're getting used to writing. So it's easier. And then you can, like, don't be discouraged by not having a million views on YouTube. It's just more of like practice for yourself, because if you have a YouTube channel or a podcast, at least you could send an employer that and be like, here's some of my work.
Hmm.
So I would just say keep grinding on that. And networking obviously is really important. Whether it's an internship, just checking in, like it's always good to check in with people. Hey, like we haven't talked in a while. Have you heard about any job openings, or do you know anyone at this market, at this station, at this newspaper, at this website? And that's how, because if you, at the end of the, like, everyone talks to each other. So if someone at a former colleague was like, hey, I have this intern or I have this kid who applied for the job, he interned for you. What do you think about him? I'm
Hmm.
going to straight give him a straight answer and be like, oh, he's a great kid, hard worker, definitely hire him. So like your reputation precedes yourself. So if you have good relationships with people and you work hard, and eventually that reputation and those relationships will benefit you down the road. You don't always know when that's going to be, but if you work hard and you keep up with your relationships, that usually pays off.
Yeah, that's what I've been told too, like connections and stuff like that. And me personally doing the podcast, I mean, obviously I do it when I can. You ask me when I do it. I try to do it once a week or twice, but obviously, you
So did
know,
you put the whole podcast out somewhere or just clips?
no, so honestly, I'll put this on YouTube at some point, maybe today, tomorrow, at some point, and then I just kind of give the little spiel, and then I kind of screen record from my phone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just so easy to just post it on
Yeah,
Instagram. I mean, I've
yeah,
talked to you
yeah.
on Instagram, so you just see like little clips of you
Yeah,
talking
no,
and
I
me and you
saw it when
talk.
you messaged me on Insta. I saw, yeah, you've had a lot of Boston
Yeah,
sports.
yeah. Yeah,
So
I
that's
mean, I love talking to the local media. I'd be willing to talk to outside other markets too. Like
yeah.
I had some guy from the Cardinals last year. I got,
Oh,
I
that's
kind of
cool.
I like talking, Arizona football. I kind
People
of
are pretty good about like you were mentioning you're gonna have Iron Eagle. People in our
I can't wait
business,
for
people in
that.
our business, even who are big national voices like Iron Eagle
Yeah.
calling the NCAA championship, they're pretty good about doing interviews if they have
Hmm.
time. Like they're not going to big time. I mean, I don't know if you hit up Stephen A. Smith somehow. If you get his number, is he going to do it? I don't know. Maybe
Probably
not.
not. He's gonna ask for 25 million.
Yeah, yeah. Like he's so busy, maybe he'll say no. But by and large, I find that most people in the industry will are willing to give their time, which is good.
No, I appreciate every single person that's come on
Yeah,
multiple times, no matter if you're high end, low end, middle class, whatever it is.
yeah.
I even had Christian Fourier on last year, and I'm
Okay.
hoping I can get him on again. I mean,
Yeah, Fourier's. What's he up to now? He's not on radio anymore.
uh, I know he does like Pat's fifth quarter because I like watching that
Oh,
after the
nice.
games
Yeah.
usually.
Oh, on BZ with Mike Reese and
Yeah, yeah. So he's on with like Burton,
yeah,
Roach,
yeah. That's a good team.
the
So they
crew
always
stuff like.
that show's always funny because like in the Patriots post game pressers, they do it like immediately. So you
Yeah,
see
they do. Yeah.
Burton doing his thing while you're sitting there, and you're like, "Oh, Burton's on TV. Let's quiet down." And then like obviously they take Belichick or whomever podium
Yeah,
live.
but
So
he might be doing stuff for CBS too, or he was looking for a
yeah, I think he
gig.
does
But
college football or something.
yeah, and then he does Coach to Win too. He started his own podcast, and he has all like these coaches or males, females in the industry, like just
Oh, good.
so he does that. I think he's had Gruden on. He's had some high names. Obviously, he knows he's well connected. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course.
no, I appreciate the advice. And if there's anything else you want to blurt out and talk about, I mean, we still got a few minutes here left. So, I mean, I really appreciate you coming on,
Yeah,
but go
I got
for
a
it.
couple minutes. I don't know what anything else you want to ask. Nothing I would add on my own unless there's something we didn't get to.
No, I mean, we hit on a lot of things and definitely, I mean, seeing we got a little time, but what's your thoughts on the football season? There you go. There's something to talk about. I mean, what's your thoughts
Yeah.
on Pats and Dolphins, really. I mean,
And it's
briefly
funny. I
speak
think
about
they're
them.
both in this weird situation where I keep going back and forth. I think they're both going to live in that seven, eight, nine. It's
Hmm.
a, I say seven, eight, nine, 10, maybe eight to nine wins. I think both missed the playoffs, but are close.
Battling for
Uh,
second place in the division.
I think Bills.
Got it
No,
locked.
it's crazy. The Dolphins had a three-game lead on the Bills with 3 games to go 2 years ago. They lost. It came down to week 18. They lost to the Bills at home,
Yeah, I
forced
remember
them to go
that.
to Kansas City to play the Chiefs in like 2 degrees weather.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
If they win the division that year, I think they would have hosted like Pittsburgh or something. They would have had a great matchup. They probably would have won a playoff game for the first time since 2000. And instead, they blew it. And now the gap between Buffalo and Miami seems like huge. At that point, when Miami was riding high, they had 11 wins that year. It was close. They should have won the division that year. But man, the Dolphins have had injuries. Their offensive line is thin. Their cornerback situation is not great.
Hmm.
I hate to write them off entirely because when Tua Tagovailoa plays, they win a high percentage of their games. Like they're
Hmm.
a good team. They've lost a lot of talent with Teron Armstead out, Calais Campbell, Jalen Ramsey, Javon Holland, the safety. So they've lost a lot of talent, and they're not deep. Like if obviously Tua is the main one if he gets hurt, but um, they're down to one running back right now. So they're as for the page. So people, a lot of the national media are down on the Dolphins, say, oh, McDaniel could get fired midseason. I don't see Stephen Ross firing him in the middle of the year. I think they'll be competitive enough that he'll see through the season.
Yeah.
For that, all bets are off him and the general manager, Chris Greer, because it'd be a four-year experiment. They had this great high-powered offense. In the end, none of it amounted to a playoff win, which is there's a graphic.
Unfortunate if you're a Dolphins fan, yeah.
31 teams have a playoff win over the last 25 years, and one team doesn't. It's the Dolphins. As for the Patriots, I can't wait to watch them, see what Drake May does in year two. Their offensive line,
Still some
I'm a little bit
questions.
concerned about. I still think their roster isn't as good as it needs to be for them to pull off a Commanders type, ascension that we saw
Yeah.
from them last year. I'm hopeful that Will Campbell hits. Travion Henderson looks to be a stud. I already drafted him in fantasy in one of my leagues. Um, I don't know what Diggs is going to show. He's
Yeah.
like a big question mark for me.
Coming off the ACL, you don't know how he's going to be,
Yeah,
but
he hasn't been practicing. I
apparently
don't.
he's ready for week one, is what Vrabel
Yeah,
said. So
their
we'll see.
schedule. I mean, their schedule's pretty easy. That's the good thing about the Patriots. And I think Vrabel obviously is a really good coach. He's establishing a culture. Huge upgrade from Gerard Mayo, just in terms of like he's been a coach of the year. He's been a number one seed in the AFC. Like he has played in that building. He knows what it takes. So I think they'll both be in it in December for a wild card, but ultimately, I'm not picturing either of them in the playoffs.
I know. I mean, hopefully one of our teams will make it. I mean, I'm hoping to see the Patriots back in the playoffs, but not to get thumped by Buffalo 48-18, whatever the hell that
Oh my
score was.
God,
That
yeah.
that
And
was
then
that
I'm
was a
excited to
complete
see
joke.
what Bill does in North Carolina. I actually was texting a former intern who worked down there, and I'm like, "What's the vibe with Bill?" And she's like, "I don't know. They like never let us do media down here." I'm like, "Oh,
Jesus,
shocking."
here we go again. I can't believe he
I'm
got into
rooting.
media too.
I'm rooting for Bill just because I think it's a good story. I've soured on Bill the person, just like he's so petty and he
Hmm.
takes no accountability. Like some of the like, oh yeah, it wasn't my fault that once Brady left, the program went into the toilet. It was because we didn't have a collaborative approach. Blah blah. It's like no, you ran the show, you ran it into
Hmm.
the ground. But I want Bill to do well, just because I don't like this narrative that all of a sudden, yes, Tom Brady was the greatest ever, but like, there's no way they win 6 Super Bowls without Bill Belichick. Is it more Brady than Belichick? Yes,
Yeah.
but like, I don't want him to fail in North Carolina and add to this narrative. He failed in Cleveland. He
Hmm.
failed without Brady, so he's just a bad coach and lucked into 6 Super Bowls. I want him to I don't think North Carolina is going to have the same talent in the ACC, like example as a Clemson or Miami. But
Hmm.
all things being equal, he's going to outcoach their other coaches and coach his guys
Because
up.
of his
So
experience, yeah.
I'm hoping he does well. But this whole narrative that I wanted to coach college my whole life is crap. Like
No, no, I
you're going to get
agree.
a job in the NFL and you
I
have to
you have to settle for that. But
settle for that.
I know we're short on time, but thank you so much, Yanni. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you.